Welcome to today's episode of Community Conversation with Stand Up Arkansas. I'm your host, Steve Grappe. Our guest today is Kwami Abdul-Bey, who will discuss the negative campaign techniques used by his opponent, David Ray. Recently, Ray's campaign has released ads depicting Kwame as an Islamic terrorist, a tactic that underscores the increasing use of negative campaigning in politics. These ads aim to demobilize voters by spreading fear and misinformation, a strategy often seen in political campaigns to sway public opinion and suppress voter turnout. Kwame will share his response to these attacks and discuss their impact on the community and the electoral process. Kwame, welcome in today.
Thank you for having me.
This is, I see you smiling. I'm kind of smiling. We knew it was going to come to this.
Yeah. The thing is if you don't have any relevant public policy issues to discuss and to debate, then you have to stoop down into the gutter and find something that would make you relevant. And I think that's what's going on here.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to want to talk about actual issues and actual things. I know that you've approached him wanting to do forums, wanting to do debates.
Well, my whole goal is making sure that the 30,000 constituents of Arkansas House District 69 have all they need to make an informed choice come November 5th. I have reached out to David Ray on multiple occasions. Why don't we do a Lincoln Douglas type debate where we go to different venues throughout the district and allow for the constituents to really engage with us, talk to us, ask us questions, tell us what's on their mind. And then based on that interaction, they could really make an informed choice on who they want to represent them. And it's actually an idea that when I was doing door-to-door canvassing, one of the constituents came up with a suggestion similar to that. Several times I've sent emails, sent text messages, inviting him to have lunch with me to discuss it. No response at all. No response at all. There was a public event with the Sherwood Chamber of Commerce, and we went up to him and I said, hey, I've sent you these emails. I've sent you these texts. I've even left you a couple of voicemails. Did you receive them? And he said, yes, I have received them. I said, well, when can we meet and discuss this idea? And his response to me was, I will never go on stage with you unless the Chamber of Commerce asks me to.
Yeah, because he is married to the Chamber of Commerce, and he's also aware that when the chambers hold these forums, which I'm glad that it is an opportunity to put the candidates in front of the constituents in a business type setting, but these are like little, you get up for two minutes, you don't really exchange ideas at all, you say what you want to about yourself or about your opponent, and you sit down. And that's not an exchange of ideas.
Yeah, and I'll take it even further. The people that are there in the audience are not the people that we need to be talking to. These are people that pretty much already have decided who they're going to vote for as far as their business connections and everything. What I was interested in us doing is getting in front of the regular, everyday people who are the working poor, and the people that we need to talk to are not going to be there at 12 noon to listen to what we have to say because they're at work, they're at school.
Right, and they don't even have an opportunity to hear this.
Indeed. And it's just like I just noticed on social media that yesterday the Mayflower School District had a bring your legislator to school event. And so they had all of the current legislators there that represent Mayflower, but they didn't have the candidates there. And that would have been an excellent opportunity if both me and David Ray had been there for students to actually engage with us and ask us questions about what it is we want to bring to them in their communities. And I find it very interesting because last week when I was at Sylvan Hills High School doing voter registration,
not as a candidate.
Not as a candidate. I was doing it as my job because I do that every election cycle. But I was there, and it just so happened that Channel 4, Channel 7, and Channel 11 showed up. So I was seen on camera, but I didn't speak to anybody on camera because I was speaking to the young people. And David Ray and his followers got mad crazy on social media talking about how I was using the school as a campaign ploy and that he should have been invited to be there too. And my response was, David Ray, I've invited you to go out with me multiple times and you've ignored me.
Yeah, and he literally, at the same time of complaining, is showing up in a public high school in an event that you're not invited to.
Correct.
So I want to go a little deeper in this because I have heard, and you can verify this, that he even went as far as to do Freedom of Information Act requests, trying to find out anything that you're doing with the Pulaski County School District. Is that correct?
That is actually correct. I've got that information from 3 different reliable sources that actually knew about what he was doing. So after him hearing in the media about me doing the National High School Voter Registration Week, he sent out FOIA requests to a lot of schools in Pulaski County and Faulkner County, trying to find out what communication I have had with those schools.
So let me get this right. The very freaking guy who tried to gut our Freedom of Information Act. I mean, he really tried to gut it. And after the public jumped all over him, 17 other representatives dropped off the bill. And he was the sole author breaking our Freedom of Information Act as it is, protecting the governor so we can't find out what she's doing on her travel. Yet he's going to weaponize the Freedom of Information Act against his political opponent?
Yes, and if you go back to the committee hearings during the time when he did this, one of the things that he talked about is the weaponization of FOIA, that he wanted to prevent it.
I mean, the public really needs to know what's going on. We literally have a candidate that's trying to shove Project 2025, Heritage Foundation, American Legislative Exchange Council policies,
ALEC,
Florida policies, Arizona policies, all of these far-right, MAGA, crazy, oppressive policies that he's bringing in, yet he's using the very things he's fighting against his political opponent.
That is correct. That is correct. And now he's also sending out mailers to pretty much all of the constituents. I received one today at my address.
Yeah, I want to talk about these mailers.
Yes, indeed.
The people need to know what kind of tactics they're going to. They won't meet you to debate the issues.
No.
They won't come before the public to talk about the differences between the candidates. He's doing FOIAs and making complaints to school districts to try to keep you from registering high school students to vote.
Yes.
And now he's sending out cards saying you're an Islamic terrorist.
Well,
extremist.
Sorry. He called me a terrorist on social media. In the mailers, he called me an extremist, and then he took a picture of me where I was speaking at a public event in downtown North Little Rock. At the time of the picture was taken, I was introducing Mayor Terry Hardwick in North Little Rock. So he took that picture, darkened my skin, and then imposed that picture with the ground zero in the background. And he has extremists. I'm a Democrat extremist.
Yeah, but he dropped that right in the middle of the Middle East conflict. It's on everybody's minds.
Yes.
He put you in front of a skyline that's reminiscent of New York.
Yes.
Which he changed the color of your skin. He changed kind of the texture of the picture to make you look ominous.
Yes.
And then he has all these like crazy radical, he's an extremist, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, and then he has 3 statements on there where he says, I said XYZ, I said XYZ, I said XYZ. And then on the bottom, he has citations where I supposedly said it. However, of the 3 citations, only the first one works and the other 2 are dead, broken links. And the first one, when you go to the citation, it clearly says that I'm not the one that said that. I was responding to someone that actually said what he accused me of saying.
It's what's wrong with politics.
Yes.
The people hate this. I talk to people every day. They hate it. But we need to vote them out.
Yeah. And how I found out about this is it didn't come to me until today. But several constituents in the district, they began receiving the mailings on Saturday. And I've had so far today 7 people that have reached out to me saying, hey, David Ray sent a mailer, and everybody sent me a picture of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really some low-level type campaigning that the people of Arkansas do not deserve. Because what it is it's racist and it's xenophobic, and it's making me out to be something that I'm not. So what you want to do is you want to bank on the fear and the anxieties of the voters so that you can be reelected, instead of going out and saying, hey, this is what I have to say. This is what he has to say. Compare to see which is going to benefit you, your family, your neighborhood, and your community.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to talk about his issues.
No.
And because we know, by research, we've looked at the bills that he's co-written or written. We see what he supports. We know what he has said in the public and in the past. We know what he is standing for. But he knows that if he lets the people know, they're going to go, oh, yeah, he is Project 2025.
Yes.
He knows that everything that he has been bringing out is like line for line out of this crazy far-right policy to take democracy away from the citizens.
Yes.
And put it more power in the hand of the executive branch, more power in the hand of these rich oligarch corporations that are being created across the United States. They literally want to take the people's voice away.
Yes, and I tell people that are just now learning about Project 2025, what they're learning about is the federal version of Project 2025. The state version of Project 2025 began being rolled out years ago. And the organization that has been responsible for rolling it out is, like you said earlier, ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council. And David Ray is the state director of ALEC. So when you look at the legislation that he supports, it lines right up with the tenets of Project 2025. Even the LEARNS Act is a tenet of Project 2025. David Ray's gutting of FOIA is a tenet of Project 2025.
Yeah. And Arkansas has become a incubator.
Yes.
We have a radical MAGA right spokesperson for a governor, and we have what's called a supermajority. For those that are listening that don't understand that, that means that over 2/3 of the people that have been elected to our General Assembly fall under one party, which means that the minority party can't even challenge them, because any challenge that's based from the Democrats in this case, they have enough people to block vote, overrule it. Mm-hmm. And they have come together over the last 2 sessions, and they're block voting everything. Yes. They're not taking their own districts into consideration. They're only taking into consideration what their caucus wants. And I mean, I know good men and women that are Republicans that are voting against their conscience because they're scared to go against their party because they've been threatened, they've been primaried, their funding has been pulled, and if they don't block vote with this radical right agenda, they get removed from office.
Yes. Yes, that is what's going on. And how it happens even further in David Ray's situation is David Ray is being bankrolled by different entities that are all controlled by Attorney General Tim Griffin. So when you look at this and when you look at what's going on with the Arkansas Supreme Court, our government, all three branches have been captured. And they've been captured in a way where you can't get anything done for the people. The only thing that happens is whatever is on this agenda that they're trying to push.
Yeah, and earlier this week, you have another example of what they're trying to do to take the power away from Arkansans.
Yes.
David Ray himself, in a committee hearing earlier this week, made a proposal in a General Assembly committee meeting that they have subpoena power to subpoena anyone that has signed a direct democracy petition, anyone who has collected signatures on a direct democracy petition, or anybody that's notarized one of these petitions.
Yes.
They're literally creating fear with the people. What that statement is doing is saying, do this at your peril, because if you sign a petition, you're going to be subject to being called before the General Assembly. If you notarize one of these, you're going to be subject to be called before the General Assembly. If you canvass and you're a volunteer trying to get signatures on this, you're subject to be called before the General Assembly. And now what you just said, when you have a General Assembly that is in line with a corrupt Supreme Court, we have a Supreme Court justice this last week that just sent like 4 or 5 other Supreme Court justices for disciplinary action.
Yes.
Because they're abusing the power of the court.
Yes.
We already have a governor that has been coming under all kinds of investigation about illegal spending and policies that are against the Arkansans, that they're hiding what they're doing. They have consolidated the power of all three branches against the citizens of Arkansas, and now they're scaring the citizens of Arkansas from standing up and coming against them.
Indeed, that is exactly what's going on, and that's why I'm running. I am running because in these times, in this situation, it takes all of us good men and women to stand up and fight, and that's what I'm doing.
So how do we fix this, Kwame? I know you say get out and vote, but it's more to it than that.
Voting is not the end all to be all. Voting is the beginning of a process. First you have to make sure that you're registered. Then after you make sure that you're registered, and registration ends next week, October the 7th. But then after you register, you have to actually get out and vote. But November 6th is when the real work starts. It doesn't matter who wins. What matters is that we, the people, keep each and every elected official accountable. When you look at the Arkansas Constitution, Article 2 of the Arkansas Constitution specifically states that the power of the state of Arkansas is in the people. It does not mention the government until Article 3. And in Article 3, it says we have 3 distinct branches of government that are supposed to, counterbalance each other, which is not happening like we just mentioned. But then in Article 5, Section 1 of Article 5, it reminds us the power of the government is in the people. And whenever the people want to loan that power to the General Assembly, they can do so. And whenever the General Assembly does not do what the people want them to do, the people can take that power back through direct democracy. Then in Section 2, it says, we have a General Assembly, and this is what the General Assembly is.
And after they explain what the General Assembly is, the very next line says, but we retain the rights of voting ourselves and putting our own bills before the people. The people retain that. Yes. So what the General Assembly has got upside down is that they think they're the rulers and we're the subjects.
That is correct.
That is not correct. That is constitutionally wrong in the state of Arkansas.
But David Ray believes in that paradigm. And that's why he is so dangerous. He only is beholden to out-of-state special interests and in-state corporate interests and the Attorney General, Tim Griffin. Those are the only 3 entities that he responds to.
Yep, and he's going to use fear. He's going to use lies. He's going to use intimidation. He's going to try to intimidate the voters. This is the guy that was behind gerrymandering a district to where they gerrymandered it to specifically get his neighborhood so he could be in a mostly Republican district, and pulled him out of Maumelle and put him up voting so people in Jacksonville are voting for him.
Yeah, that is correct. If the redistricting rules were followed the way they're supposed to be followed, then David Ray is supposed to be living in District 71. However, his neighborhood was cut out so that he could be in District 69. And District 69 is so gerrymandered. There are no full cities in District 69. It's half of Mayflower, a third of Jacksonville, a fourth of Sherwood. There are no whole cities. So you don't really have people that can coalesce and come against you. So what District 69 was drawn to be a safe district where David Ray could have perpetual power.
And David Ray's job, his everyday job, do we want to remind the people of what he does on a regular basis?
On a regular basis, he is a consultant, and he regularly gets money from Tim Griffin.
Which is our Attorney General.
Which is
the one that's also trying to gut our direct democracy process.
That is correct.
Who is referring things and throwing things out that shouldn't be thrown out, who is slow-rolling bills to politically stop them from getting on the ballot, who's teamed up with the Secretary of State to throw these bills off the ballot that have got the signatures needed on technicalities that they know that they can go to the stacked Supreme Court, who says, doesn't matter what black and white in the Constitution says, we're going to say that this is what it means. They are making us a ruled class. Mm-hmm. That's why they don't want to have abortion rights. That's why they don't want Freedom of Information Act rights. Mm-hmm. That's why they're trying to do away with the state income tax, because that hurts the lower income and helps the more wealthy and the corporations. They're setting themselves up to have two classes, the haves and the have-nots. It's sad.
It is, and I'm here to fight it every step of the way.
Okay, Kwame, thank you for being here with us today. We've got to get people out there working on your campaign. We need volunteers. We need money. We need to combat these crazy radical lies and propaganda that they're putting out. We need the people of your district to know who the true candidates are and actually who their choices are to vote for. So tell us how they can get in touch with you. Give us everything you got.
Definitely. Well, you can definitely call me or text me at 501-436-9119. Also have a website.
And that's Kwami.
KWAMI ARKHOUSE69th.info.
All right. The deadline to get registered to vote is next week, October 7th. Let's make sure and get everybody you know out to register. After that,
early voting starts on October 21st, and I can encourage everyone to early vote. I was just in the Secretary of State's office yesterday talking to the people that are receiving the voter registration. They are receiving over 1,000 voter registration applications per day. And that's been going on. She said it's been going on ever since Vice President Kamala Harris jumped into the race.
We've known that this wasn't a red state, that this was just a non-voting state.
Yes.
This is the first steps to change that.
Yes.
Thank you, Kwame, for being here today. Y'all, we need to take it upon ourselves to make a difference in our communities. We need to get out and find out who the candidates are and make sure that these radical representatives do not keep doing what they're doing to the citizens of Arkansas. We need good candidates like Kwami Abdul-Bey that can get in there and be the buffer for the citizens of Arkansas and protect our rights. This has been Steve Grappe with Stand Up Arkansas and Community Conversations. Y'all, get out there and register and get everybody to vote, because in Arkansas, our motto is Regnat Populus.
The people rule.
Let the people rule. Y'all, let's keep it that way.